A hospital director once said to me, "Why do you do what you do, Bruce?" I said, "Well, you know, we're a church. I figure that if Jesus were here, this is the sort of thing he would do. Because he cared for the marginalised, he cared for the homeless, he cared for those in trauma, he cared for those sick and those who are dying. And we figure if this is what he would do, we want to be like that." When I was 38, I had open heart surgery and we had to come down to Brisbane. We didn't know anybody in Brisbane at all. I was thought about people like me that are having to leave their environment in their regional areas and not know what to do or what structures are. It's like someone is on a life raft in the storm, just bobbing up and down the storm, and people are trying to paddle their way through, and it's just really difficult. And I said, we need someone to hop on board that life raft and find somewhere to tie up alongside. Like a bollard, I said, or maybe a mooring. And it all started from there.
I was a nurse and I just liked the idea of being able to carry on that caring part of what I'd been doing, and I really enjoyed it.
I was a midwife for 43 years. I really missed the bubs and everything, and I felt I needed to do something in voluntary work to help in God's work. And whatever the need is, whether you need to go and see someone and take them to the unit or just go and give them some food, usually it's at the right time when they say it's such a blessing and we're so grateful and so thankful. You think, well, you know, you are helping in some way.
7 years ago, I made a call to the Gold Coast Hospital, the chairman of the board, asking to meet with him. We're your neighbours down the road. How can we be neighbourly? What's the things we can do to help you do what you do so well? So we started off with 50 hampers to deliver, and 7 years later we're now delivering around 450 there to the hospital. Since we began the mooring, we've cared for 1,200 individuals. We've provided over 1,000 meals. We've given over 400 care packs. We've given away countless go-cards, taxi vouchers, fuel vouchers.
My role involves coordinating the team. When we get a phone call from a social worker at the hospital, the first thing we do is discuss the needs for a family. We've got a team of dedicated volunteers. We have cooks that have been cooking for 5 years. We do accommodate different cultures and dietary requirements. I often say that the meals are like the oil in the engine. The families are comforted greatly.
I cared for an elderly lady who drove 150 kilometres on her own to be with her husband who was in ICU. She was getting really anxious about how she would find her way to the motel. When we got there, I helped her check in and took her to her room. She said to me, "And where's your room?" And I said, "Oh, I'm not staying here." And she just looked at me in amazement and said, "Did you do all of this just for me?"
I am the provisions coordinator for the mooring. I'm also one of the carers. I think I was given this role because I just love finding a bargain. Sometimes people leave their homes in a hurry, in a panic, and they just can't think clearly on what to bring. So the toiletries are handy. We have staples, and then we have the essential chocolate and muesli bars and cheese and crackers.
I cared for a client whose husband had had a stroke 10 days prior to their son's wedding. She said, "You don't think you do very much, but it has made a huge difference what you've done for us." You go, "Oh wow, I know that sometimes we do more and sometimes we do less for people, but each time we do something, it is significant. It makes a difference in that person's life."
We started with 4 carers, and we now have up to 30 on our staff. They're all volunteers except for our team leader, who is part-time. Our team spans from carers to cooks to cleaners to gardeners to people who will help with writing grants, and we're so thankful for that. We've also had someone develop an app as well for our phone, and that's been just remarkable to actually have something like that to log everything in our care we give. That's been very, very helpful.
The mooring got underway in 2015, and we were really fortunate to get underway with some seed funding from churches across Queensland. Funding, of course, is our ongoing challenge as an organisation. As a not-for-profit that doesn't receive any funding from anywhere else, it's actually not a part of our church budget. The funding has come from areas that we hadn't expected and has been vital to the operation of the mooring. So budget-wise, the mooring operates at about a $100,000 budget. All the generous donors that have contributed have been really significant, but it still leaves us with about a 40% gap. That funding is really filled by normal mums and dads, families contributing. It's absolutely vital to the operation of the mooring.
Nobody plans a crisis in their life. It's not much what we do, but it just takes that extreme stress away.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I'm delighted to inform the House I was honoured to recognise the Volunteer of the Year for the Northern Gold Coast, the organisation The Mooring. I'd like to commend to the House the outstanding service of the team at The Mooring and acknowledge the work they do and thank Pastor Steve Peach.
A fellow called Hudson Taylor once said, sometimes things seem impossible, then they're difficult, then they're done. This is the story of The Mooring.